You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning, it's June the 10th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Education here at paceradio.net. Good morning, Cindy. How you doing?
Good morning, Al. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm not too bad, but I do have a bit of an issue. I may have the odd word mispronounced today because I got this tooth that is digging into my tongue as I speak.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
Ow. So I have called the dentist. I do have an appointment to go in and get it dealt with. But in the meantime, it's the time for the news. What do you say? Got anything you want to mention before we get into the news?
Oh, no, I've got a dentist appointment this afternoon too, for a similar reason.
All right. Okay. Let's get at her. Here
Sounds
we go.
good.
First story's up.
Coming to us from StratCan, Health Canada proposes numerous significant regulatory changes.
Health Canada releases numerous proposed regulatory changes to the federal cannabis rules and regulations on June the 7th as part of the 30-day consultation process ending on July the 8th, 2024. The proposed changes include regulatory amendments that are aligned with the findings and recommendations from the federal government's expert panel's final report on the legislative review of the Cannabis Act.
The proposed changes aim to encourage more diversity and competition in the legal cannabis market by reducing the regulatory and administrative burdens faced by license holders. The health agency that oversees cannabis published a notice of intent in the Canada Gazette, Part 1, and is seeking feedback on potential amendments in the cannabis regulations.
These changes include increasing the threshold for micros from 200 square meters to 800 square meters, and the micro processing license possession threshold from 600 kilograms to 2,400 kilograms of dry cannabis or its equivalent. Increasing nurseries' canopy size for seed production, increasing from 50 square meters to 200 square meters, allowing them to harvest up to 20 kilograms of flowering cannabis for seed production.
Removing the requirement for actual THC and CBD on product labels, only total THC and CBD. Also increasing the number of permitted alternate quality assurance persons, the QAPs, to one or more from the current allowances of up to 2.
Licensed processors would no longer be required to provide printed copies of the consumer information document with every cannabis product package sent, and formalizing the COVID-19 era flexibilities.
Adding grounds for suspension of any licenses held by the same license holder should they have unpaid fees or have failed to submit a required statement of cannabis revenue for a license as required under the cannabis fees order. Amending the industrial hemp regulations to remove the maximum THC concentration of 10 parts per million for industrial hemp grain derivatives, the testing requirement, labeling for wholesale, and import and export requirements.
Allowing for differentiation in color between the lid or cap of the container and the container itself. Ooh. Permitting cutout windows on packaging for dried or fresh cannabis products and cannabis seeds, while upholding the exclusion of cutout windows for all other classes of cannabis.
Huh.
So you'll be able to see your buds in the package, but you don't get your package until well, I guess you got the employee can bring them to the counter, and then you can take a look at the buds before you actually purchase the product.
Yeah. Yep. Allowing dried or fresh cannabis products, in addition to cannabis plants and cannabis seeds, to be packaged in transparent containers while maintaining existing rules. I think you just read that one.
No, it's
Existing rules prescribing opaque or translucent packaging of all other classes of cannabis. Removing the cumulative 10 milligram THC limit for an outermost container of edible cannabis products to allow greater flexibility in packaging multiple immediate containers, as long as the immediate containers do not have more than 10 milligrams of THC each. Well, I wonder how many they can put in a package now.
Well, the package, the media containers do not have more than 10 milligrams. I still look at it as overall the package in the end, you still only have 10 milligrams in it.
Yeah.
Like I don't see them allowing 10, like 100 milligrams per package, as people have requested. I don't, that's not pronounced or shown in that it's going to happen. So. Removing the requirements to file an NNCP to Health Canada for dried and fresh cannabis products. And more information is coming. So those are the changes. So I don't see anything that says, more than 10 milligrams is allowed per package.
Yeah.
And people are still stuck at that. Now, I wonder if we talked about the individual. Was it more along the line of, because the things come separate in a package? I don't know, like when you buy gummies, I guess they're all inside some are inside of a jar or stuff. I don't buy gummies.
I've had some gummies and some chocolate bought for me, and the gummy that I had, there were 2 gummies in this little cellophane package type idea. So it was like a cellophane package like this, right?
Yeah.
And it was sealed on the top, and then there were two gummies in there, or a piece of chocolate.
Were they wrapped separately inside, or were they together?
No, because the whole thing was only 10 milligrams.
Right. Yeah.
Right, because that's all they're allowed to have is one package when it's an edible, and in that package that I buy is no more than 10 milligrams.
Yeah. Well, that's what Yeah.
So it sounds to me like they're changing that, so I can buy a package that might have 3 or 4 of these in. Each one has 10 milligrams, but I can now buy a package of packages.
So you'd be getting 40 milligrams of total?
40 milligrams, so you get for my example here, you get milligrams, right? Because you would buy 2 packages that have 10 milligrams each, but it's packaged as a package. So these 2 bags would be inside of another bag.
Yeah, I don't have the story up anymore to try to go over that line.
Nor do I.
Yeah.
That's what caught that's what it made me think of, right? So you could then buy a bag with.
Yeah, but you think there would be some announcement that says that we've raised the limit from 10 milligrams per package to unlimited, or to 100 milligrams or something, right?
There was a story a few months back that we had. I'm not sure who read it, if it was me and Glenn or you and me or me and Irene or whatever, but there was a story about how they were contemplating changing that limit because they were catching too many people with these lozenges or this cough syrup.
Well, yeah, the lozenges. Well, you can just go buy capsules, or you can buy drops because they're listed. They're not listed as an edible. Right?
Edible, no.
And you can go up and over on those.
In BC, there's 1,000 milligram cough syrup.
Yeah, because it's not considered food.
No.
Right.
You mix it with your pop to give your pop flavoring, right? They have found ways to get under it for sure.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see if I can find the story here in my phone. Yeah, there it is. Just to review that one line at the bottom, because I don't.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
I got it all here. Cut out Windows. Okay, removing the cumulative 10 milligram THC limit for an outermost container of edible cannabis products to allow greater flexibility in packaging multiple intermediate containers, as long as the intermediate containers do not have more than 10 milligrams of THC each.
Yeah, so these would each be intermediate containers, which would
Yeah.
go to a larger container,
Hmm.
which I would buy.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing anybody saying anything about putting 150 milligrams into a package.
No, it doesn't seem to be that there's a limit or what, but that line caught my attention because to me that's what it says. I can go buy a package that has a bunch of 10 milligram packages in it.
Yeah, because that's the outermost container.
Yeah, and these would be the innermost that have the intermediate no more than 10 milligrams.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. I'll just keep my eye out on in the world there of news and see if I can find anything that comes up that says that Canada's increased that. So, all righty, we'll figure it out. We'll get it. I'm sure. Okay, I got to find the next story. All righty, here we go. Next story.
Coming to us from Cannabis Business Times. Canada's oversupply, 53.7 million unsold cannabis products last December.
Wow.
Yeah.
Canada continues to face its multi-year cannabis supply and demand imbalance, allowing a brief supply shortage when it first rolled out its federally legal adult use program in October 2018. Unpackaged and packaged products were in such surplus that they were eventually destroyed by the third full year of the program. And in 2020, Health Canada, the federal agency that oversees stuff, reported that as of April 2020, licensed producers held in excess of 600,000 kilograms of unpackaged dried cannabis and an additional 43,000 kilograms of packaged flower. This was not counting but was held in stock. And in 2021, Health Canada data showed that more than 425 million grams of unpackaged dried cannabis were destroyed between January and December of 2021. And that's 26% of the total dried cannabis produced. That's a quarter of it. Wow.
Wow. Jumping ahead to the present, most product categories available inventory are exceeding retail sales by a ratio of more than 3-1, according to fourth quarter 2023 data released May 14th by Health Canada. Seed supply exceeds until unit sales by 2,280%. The data shows that the ratios of total packaged inventory to retail sales for federal license holders, distributors, and retailers by product types are the dried cannabis 3.4-1, edibles 3.6-1, extracts 3.7-1, seeds 22.8-1, and topical 6.4-1. So yeah, they're for every gram of dried cannabis sold, they have 2.4 left over. It's sorry, you go ahead.
Diving into what this looks like on a monthly basis, in December of 2023, 21.3 million packaged units, medical and non-medical, were sold of 75 million packaged inventory units, leaving unsold inventory of 53.7 million units. In June of 2023, packaged inventory units of 75.4 million exceeded packages units sold by 55.4 million. And in December of 2022, nearly 20 million packaged units were sold of the nearly 76 million packaged inventory units, leaving a surplus of more than 56 million packaged units. Wow, that's a lot of cannabis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's selling? Dried cannabis flower captured the lion's share of unit sales in the fourth quarter of 2023, comprising nearly half of the market, 49% of it. Edibles and extracts tied for second in unit sales markets, each comprising 25%. However, when looking at sales to registered medical patients, edibles and extracts each comprised a slightly larger percentage than dried cannabis flower.
Oh, the patient end. Interesting. In December of 2023, for example, 220,000 units of dried cannabis flower were sold in the medical market, compared to 359,000 units of edible cannabis and 237,000 units of cannabis extracts. They say, according to Health Canada's report, the total licensed area for indoor and outdoor growing in this fourth quarter of 2023 is more than 7.9 million square meters, or 85.5 million square feet. Indoor growing area was 1.5 million square meters, and outdoor growing area was 6.5 million square meters.
The woes plaguing the Canadian market aside, this is a 1,644% increase over October 2018, when adult use sales launched. At that time, combined indoor and outdoor growing area totaled 452,896 square feet or square meters, 4.9 million square feet. Prior to October 2019, indoor and outdoor growing area was combined. Outdoor growing area at its peak, which was December 21, totaled 7.1 square meters, and while the indoor growing area reached its peak in May 2020 with 2.2 million square meters.
So we're growing too much cannabis.
Who ever thought that we would be at a point that we had more cannabis than what people required?
I know, eh? You would never.
And really, that's not necessarily true, because there's a lot of people out there that can't afford to buy it, so they sit at home with nothing or with scraps, and this could go a long way with helping them. But of the people out there buying it on a regular from the Canadian government, we don't need as much as they've got.
No. There's just so many sources, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty, on to the next story. Headlines up.
Coming to us from the Globe and Mail, Red Light Holland announces completion of full psilocybin extract report with PharmAla.
Yeah, Red Light Holland. It's a company engaged in the production, growth, and sale of functional mushrooms and mushroom home grow kits in North America and Europe, as well as premium brand of psilocybin truffles to the legal recreational market within the Netherlands, in compliance with all applicable laws, proudly announces the successful completion of a comprehensive extraction protocol with associated report by PharmAla Biotech Holdings. This significant achievement marks the successful extraction and creation of a high-quality concentrated psilocybin extract at PharmAla's partner lab facilities, Charles Labs, following the Health Canada approved import of naturally sourced psilocybin truffles from the company's farm in the Netherlands. The process also effectively removed materials used for extraction, ensuring the product adheres to the requirements necessary for pharmaceutical ingredients. This accomplishment not only highlights the capabilities of Red Light Holland and its partnership with PharmAla, but also sets a robust foundation for subsequent phases.
Todd Shapiro, who is the CEO and director of Red Light Holland, expressed his enthusiasm, stating, "The completion of this full extraction report represents a pivotal milestone in our journey towards optimizing and scaling the production of high-quality, natural source psilocybin active pharmaceutical ingredients. Red Light Holland is committed to advancing the field of psychedelic research and will continue to update stakeholders as it progresses into the next stage of development and optimization." Exciting.
There you go. So extraction of whole plant, a whole can, or whole mushroom.
It's like us yanking out THC or CBD or CBG from cannabis. This is them pulling out the psilocin from psilocybin.
Right.
Which actually ends up being easier on the stomach.
Well, yeah, you don't have that. I don't know what you want to call it, a pain, whatever. From from doing it. If you don't do the lemon tech routine, right?
Right.
All righty, on to the next story. Last one before we go to break.
Coming to us from StratCan. How long until Canadians can access medical cannabis in pharmacies?
Oh, interesting. Earlier this year, the federal government's expert panel called for pharmacy access to medical cannabis. Specifically, the panel's report recommended expanding the existing model, which permits online sales, to allow for in-person cannabis access at pharmacies. This common sense recommendation resulted from the panel's recognition that pharmacies have the infrastructure to dispense cannabis, and that in-person access could address delays related to mail or courier delivery, while also providing the all-important opportunity for counsel with pharmacists.
However, given the recommendation and broad consciousness within the industry that pharmacy access makes sense, the question remains, what's the timeline? It's difficult to say when this will happen, as we may be heading into a federal election, of course, which usually involves a cooling down period. This is from Max Mahan Ellison, who's the chairperson of Medical Cannabis Canada. Max continues to say, ultimately, the process would likely involve Health Canada reviewing the findings, developing policy proposals, and potentially consulting further with stakeholders and potentially drafting amendments, which could be subject to public comment. There would be a legislative process to move the changes forward into law.
A federal election has to be held before October the 20th, 2025, with some political observers believing that the government may want to go to the polls later this year. In either case, it's unlikely that Canada will be seeing pharmacy access to medical cannabis before 2026. Even that might be optimistic, given that access also has to be addressed at the provincial level.
We support the report's view that we need a regulatory pathway for cannabis access in pharmacies. And this is a critical first step. But there's still a lot to happen at the provincial level, because that's where pharmacy scope is legislated, says Shelita Dateni, Senior Vice President of Pharmacy Affairs and Strategic Engagement of the Neighborhood Pharmacy Association of Canada. Given the public health and harm reduction role pharmacy can produce for therapeutic products, the Neighborhood Pharmacy Association of Canada, which has significant member representation across Canada, supports the Scientific Committee's recommendation that cannabis health products be accessible through pharmacies.
You know, one time they were really against this, that when cannabis first was coming out, the pharmacists were against it, and things have changed, obviously, over the last 20 years, but there's more work to be done.
Well, the Shoppers Drug Mart fought to have, they can mail it out now, but they fought hard to get that.
Yeah, right. Well, they had a production license, so they could sell it. Yeah. Now, Dadhani continues to say that given the importance of ensuring public health and safety, it's important that associations like ours are aligned with regulators. We support the idea of pharmacists being able to authorize and dispense cannabis. Authorize, that's interesting. Pharmacists are also uniquely qualified to assess and manage potential drug interactions. And we had I've interviewed Daniel Bear from Humber College, and they're doing things with pharmacists in Canada and cannabis, and they want to educate pharmacists.
Yeah, if you're taking cannabis for a medical condition, there's a good chance that you're on other medications, says Glenn Doucette, who's the CEO of the Canadian Pharmacists Association. Adjustments might need to be made in terms of dosage, with pharmacists able to provide timely monitoring for performance and health. Given the shortage of family physicians and the fact that most Canadians live within 5 kilometers of a pharmacy, with some locations open until midnight or even 24 hours, allowing for in-person access could dramatically improve healthcare delivery across Canada.
What would they be required to stock?
Supply. It would be interesting to know what they're like. If I walk in and I have a prescription, and who knows? I don't know how it's going to work. It's a hard one.
Yeah, exactly. Pharmacists see their patients 12 to 20 times a year. There's a lot of opportunity to make adjustments and recommend other products. Doucette says, our concern is that many Canadians might not be benefiting from appropriate medical oversight, while physicians are amazing at diagnosing. Their level of understanding of medications is not the same as a pharmacist. As a result, pharmacists represent an important check and balance, and bring a lot of value.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're waiting on Ottawa. Though the process of getting medical cannabis into pharmacies might be slow, at this point, its arrival seems almost inevitable, given that industry, the medical community, and government are all now on the same page. The challenge is with regard to political will. As with other cannabis-related issues, such as excise tax reform, the problem is that governments at all levels are distracted by higher priority issues.
Yeah, exactly. Healthcare moves fast, but governments move slowly, and pharmacy dispensing won't happen anytime soon, says Monahan Ellis from the Medical Cannabis Canada. All the players involving in dispensing, particularly at the provincial level, have to get together to establish an ideal pathway. Individual pharmacies will also likely need to prepare for dispensing by establishing security measures and training set out by applicable provincial and federal regulations, which I wouldn't doubt if they sort of take the ones that they use now for narcotics and put the cannabis into the same field.
Yep.
Yeah.
As it stands, the process has benefited from the panel's suggestion that cannabis be integrated into standard drug approval pathways, heavily informed by the Medical Cannabis Access Survey. This pathway also supports the increasing role that pharmacists are already playing in healthcare delivery. Across the 10 provinces, pharmacists can already assess for minor ailments, urinary tract infections, reflux, and some dermatological conditions, says Titani, who is from the Neighborhood Pharmacy Association, of course. In BC, assessment for birth control is allowed, and in Alberta and Nova Scotia, a pilot is in place to broaden the scope further. We would like to see this advance with cannabis too, and for healthcare access not to be dependent on a patient's postal code.
And the Ontario College of Pharmacists has mandated that members complete a cannabis course. Ooh. With pharmacies access across the country, and near certainty it's likely that such requirements will extend to other provinces. The transition for the pharmacists themselves should be reasonably straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, according to Doucette, they say they don't see a huge learning curve for pharmacists. Well, if they've never had anything to do with cannabis, then obviously a pharmacist is gonna,
there's going to be a lot of learning there, and it's there's going to be a lot of courses for them to take over the upcoming years, and not just with cannabis, but I mean, if psychedelics, psilocybin and MDMA and ketamine are going to continue to move forward the way they've moved, bringing other psychedelics with them, pharmacists are in for a big learning curve.
Big learning curve. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And, if they could bring in some people who are already educated on those things to bring it in order to help get those things rolling, that would be a benefit for sure.
Yep.
All right, break time. Off we go to medicate. We'll be right back after this session. We're live here at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats. And look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have. As well as, for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And we're back from our commercial. And I got a question, Cindy.
Yes.
Yesterday, when I was at a friend's place, he showed me his 510 vape cartridges, and he actually had two stacked on top of each other. So when you use it, you actually pull from both chambers.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd never seen anything like that.
Interesting. Yeah, no. I've seen ones where they've got two chambers, but you only haul from one or the other.
No, these are stacked right up on top of each other.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't ask him where he got it, though. Yeah. All righty. This story is going to be interesting. I look forward to the results, and here we go.
Coming to us from the ATAC, Australia tests driving impairment levels with medical cannabis patients.
Yeah. The government in Victoria, Australia, has announced its launch of a trial to research the effects of medical cannabis impairment on driving. The announcement comes after Australian researchers repeatedly urged the government to address issues regarding medical cannabis use in existing laws and to determine whether existing drug driving laws can be relied upon as an accurate measure of driver impairment. Access to medical cannabis was legalized in Australia back in 2016, permitting patients to access various cannabis products through prescriptions. In Victoria, there are two groups of medicinal cannabis patients who are subject to different rules. Medicinal cannabis patients who use cannabidiol or CBD products are allowed to drive in Victoria if they are not impaired. Conversely, medical cannabis patients who take products containing THC are not permitted to drive with any amount of THC in their system. Wow. No.
Interesting. Currently, Victoria Police conducts random roadside drug testing using saliva tests for THC, with positive results prompting drug driving charges. Pardon me. The new trial by the government will seek to test just how impaired people with medical cannabis in their system are whilst driving. As part of the trial, which is the first of its kind and will take place in September with 70 participants who are medical cannabis patients, drivers will be taken around driving courses with an instructor at special closed road facilities.
Oh, not a simulator. Oh. There is nowhere in the world that actually has got that standard way of measuring impairment through medical cannabis, says Melissa Horn. She's the Minister of Roads and Road Safety. And in an interview with ABC News, she says, "It is a basic human right. We've got a legally prescribed drug. Let us be able to measure what that looks like on a road safety environment."
Yeah. Currently, there is a lack of data regarding cannabis impairment and driving. In Canada, driving with THC levels of 2 nanograms per milliliter is considered an offense. According to one meta-analysis of research studies conducted in 2021, cannabis use increased the risk of crashes somewhere by 11 to 42%. Moreover, the study also found that the effects of THC on driving are typically modest and seem similar to the effects of low-dose alcohol consumption. However, the study also found that impairment may be more significant and potentially severe in individuals who are cannabis naive or where cannabis is combined with alcohol or other impairment-causing drugs.
And remember, these are patients they're testing. So these people will be people who are normally consuming cannabis. It's not as if they're going to be fresh, first time consuming people. So I'm interested to see what the results
How
are.
it turns out, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll keep an eye out for that and see what happens. All right, next story.
Coming to us from StratCan, study finds inaccurate labeling on some cannabis oils in Ontario.
Uh-oh. A study from researchers in Ontario says that some cannabis oils on the market in Canada are inaccurately labeled for THC and CBD. Well, there have been many studies looking at the accuracy of labeling on cannabis flower and edibles and some extracts. This is potentially the first study to look at legal cannabis oils.
In a case series studies, researchers at McMaster University and St. Joseph's Health Hamilton tested 30 cannabis oil products available on the Ontario Cannabis Store website. The amount of THC and CBD in those products was then tested by the Center for Microbial Chemical Biology at McMaster University for comparison against the amounts listed on the product label.
While none of the products contain significantly more THC than the labeled amount, 12 of the 30 tested products were found to be outside of the allowable variable limit of THC, and 3 products were outside their variable limit for CBD. Of the 16 cannabis oils tested that had a label amount of 2.5 milligrams of THC or greater, 7 of them had amounts that were lower than what was allowed by more than 15% allowable variants. So that's basically half of them.
Yeah.
Half
yeah.
Most.
In addition, the study found discrepancies between the amount of THC and CBD listed on the OCS website's product description for 10 of 30 oil products. 5 products were also found to be labeled with inconsistent listings of active THC CBD and total THC CBD, with one product being labeled as having 5 milligrams of CBD, but found to be 26 milligrams total CBD upon secondary testing. Unlike products like dried flower, cannabis oils of the type the study looked at should generally have the same active and total THC CBD amounts.
Yeah, and now with the new regulations, it'll just be total on the packaging. So, the researchers involved argue that their findings merit greater quality control efforts by the industry, while also noting that limited scope of their research. The OCS currently lists more than 50 cannabis oils in their SKU online.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's not good. Not having the proper, they're basically inaccurate labels, and that's a no-no.
Yep.
Right? So, got to get them right, people. That way the consumer knows what they're buying, right?
It's true.
Yeah, they mentioned about reducing, or they reduce in the regulations to say 1 or more QA per people within those regulatory changes, instead of saying 2 or more. So that's going to allow them to reduce the number of people if they want on the QA end of things. And how are mistakes like this or mistakes going to be found? Like, you would think they have some type of quality assurance to make sure that those products going out the door are what they are labeled as, wouldn't you?
Yep.
So I just happen to be. I used to be involved in the QA department where I was at work before I got sick. So, all right, here we go. Next story's up.
Yes, coming to us from Marijuana Moment. Voters in Slovenia approve cannabis ballot measures.
All right. I always like to hear about other countries legalizing. Voters in Slovenia approved a pair of cannabis-related ballot measures over the weekend. One on whether medical cannabis patients should be able to cultivate the plant for personal use, and the other on whether all adults should be able to legally grow and possess cannabis. Yes, yes, and yes. The sale and use of medical cannabis is already legal in the country, but cultivation remains prohibited.
The two cannabis questions appeared on the ballot in Sunday's election, alongside other referendum questions on medically assisted dying and proposed change to the country's general election processes. The first question: should the Republic of Slovenia allow the cultivation and process of cannabis for medical purposes on its territory? Passed 67% to 33%. And the second, should the Republic of Slovenia allow the cultivation and possession of cannabis for limited personal use on its territory, was approved by a margin of 52 to 48.
Ooh. The outcomes are advisory and not binding on lawmakers. Nevertheless, they could influence future legislation and contribute to the growing push for reform in the country. Slovenia's National Assembly voted to put the questions on the ballot in April. The country's National Institute of Public Health had taken a position against the cannabis proposals.
The votes are among the latest examples of a push for cannabis reform making its way through Europe. About 2 months ago, another country in the region, Germany, began implementing a cannabis legalization law. In Slovenia's neighboring Italy, meanwhile, voters were deprived of the opportunity to decide on cannabis and psychedelics policy reform in 2022, following a ruling from the country's top court. But support has been building for a narrower cannabis-only measure that would allow the home cultivation of 4 plants, the eventual creation of social clubs, and the elimination of penalties for consumers.
I wonder why they turned it down. Malta became the first European country to enact cannabis legalization, with the president signing a reform bill in 2021. A novel international survey released in 2022 found a majority support for legalization in several key European countries. Slovenia was not included in that poll, however.
The UN drug control body recently reiterated that it considers legalizing cannabis for non-medical or scientific purposes a violation of international treaties, though it also said it appreciates that Germany's government scaled back its cannabis plan ahead of the recent vote.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, the European Union has to get caught up instead of being against all this.
Yes, they do.
Yes. All righty. Last. Oh, what's this? To say? Oh, it's a pop-up. Okay, I got it out of the way. Last story of the day, because I don't think you wanted to read the pop-up. So there you go.
No. Coming to us from CBS News, as psychedelic mushroom lovers enjoy first Denver Shroom Fest, psilocybin therapy is still unregulated.
So where are you going to be in June of 2025?
I'm going to be, down in Denver for the second ever Shroom Fest.
As lovers of magic mushrooms gathered to celebrate recreational use of the first ever Denver Shroom Fest in Reno Sunday, questions arise about the safety of the mushrooms as of now still unregulated therapeutic uses.
Yeah. I'd be underground. Yeah, I would have definitely ate a bullet, says Marine veteran Troy Leonard. After leaving the Marines, Leonard struggled with PTSD.
Just started noticing something was different about me. Couldn't remember anything. Was angry, Leonard says. But when a friend suggested microdosing psilocybin mushrooms, or psychedelic mushrooms, his life changed.
Yeah, 180-degree difference. Like all of my relationships with friends and family just got amazing. Stopped being angry, stopped having trouble, said Leonard. It's why Leonard pushed for the mushrooms decriminalization. When voters said yes, he founded Valor Minds with other veterans. The group sells non-psychedelic tinctures and gives away psilocybin mushrooms to anyone over 21 who is struggling.
Yeah, Leonard says that we just give it to them and kind of explain how to do it and just watch them. I went from veterans to first responders to really anybody with PTSD. I had a lot of friends that had a lot of trauma in their life, and I was like, this isn't the magical pill, but you can try it, and it's been a success story for many people. While Proposition 122 decriminalized the use of mushrooms, the sale is still illegal, and there's currently no official training, guidelines, or certification to practice psilocybin therapy.
Yeah. It leaves clinics like HCU Mushrooms to come up with their own safety standards. We test the psilocybin separately. We grind it into a powder, says Martha Montemer, who is a certified nutritional consultant for HCU Mushrooms.
We're a medicinal microdose clinic, so we're a private member association. It's like joining the Costco of mushrooms. Then you get measured dose medicines that were designed by me, says Montemer. Montemer has taken Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, which is MAPS, training on the therapeutic use of mushrooms. We do have a doctor visit involved, and we are a true medicinal clinic, medical clinic.
Yeah. Others use the mushrooms for fun. I am a fan of psychedelics, says Jonathan Cherkos, who is the co-founder of the Denver Shroom Fest. Guy likes mushrooms, agreed co-founder Eric Burden. The Denver Shroom Fest founders say the decriminalization has led to safer access for all users.
Yeah, Burden goes on to say that the mushroom itself hasn't changed, just the accessibility, the information, the testing, harm reduction follows all those things. By the end of the year, Colorado will adopt rules to establish qualifications and training requirements for natural medicine facilitators and begin reviewing applications.
Both Fowler Mines and HCU Mushrooms will seek a license. Montemer is already involved in safety research. I'm super excited to do more studies on microdose psilocybin and really establish Colorado as a center for responsible use, she says.
While the state develops regulations, Denver's Department of Excise and License has formed their own workshop to explore what policy and licensing laws should look like in the city.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to plan a trip to Denver next June.
There you go. I can just see it going down in the van, staying overnight in the van, finding some lake to sit beside.
Sounds amazing.
And then make your way to Mushroom Fest or Shroom Fest.
Yeah.
Sounds
good.
Sounds like a good time. All right. Anything you want to say? Anything you want?
No, that's about it.
That's about it. Okay.
We're early.
Good. Yeah, we are. That's all right. We just, got it all done instead of being late, right? Okay. Other than that, that's it from the Legacy420.com news desk. That's the Pace News Report for today. Thanks to our buds at Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, and Legacy420.com. And in closing, don't forget to say, well, I won't forget to say thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partners 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.